far right has been on a sustained attack against Dr. Anthony Fauci ever since he advised the president to lock down the country in order to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Now, they've done, of course, everything, including holding rallies and doing social media posts, trending with Fire Fauci, to even launching sexual assault allegations against him. Now, I had not heard much about this, but apparently several weeks ago, a sexual assault allegation had come out against Dr. Fauci. Didn't hear about it in the news, didn't hear about it from anyone. Now it's getting some renewed attention. See, these allegations have been brought forward by allies of President Donald Trump. Now, unfortunately for those allies, it has been debunked by the very woman that claims that she was paid to make them and has a recording to back her up. Now, the woman says that Jacob Wohl and his frequent accomplice, Jack Berkman, persuaded her to cast Fauci as an assailant using details from an actual sexual assault that she had survived just after high school. And they had paid her to do it, by the way. This is according to an article in the libertarian publication Reason. Now, the woman is named Diana Andrade, and she had emailed Reason to speak about that plot and her recording. Now, the reality, she says, is that I've known Jacob since 2018, and that he charmed me into taking money to do this. Now, they, of course, had been romantically linked. Now, she says, they also had me do something like this back in January. When explaining to her why she was looking to do this, she said that he had made an argument that she was very uncomfortable with. Quote, "Let me tell you something, Diana," says Berkman on the 9-minute, 35-second call. "This guy shut the country down. He put 40 million people out of work. In a situation like that, you have to make up whatever you have to make up to stop that train, and that's the way life works, okay? That's the way it goes." That's the way it goes. Putting out false allegations is a political weapon to remove somebody who is inconvenient to the president's election chances. That's just how life works. Only if you're a paid political hack. And yet, in a sick way, he's actually kind of right. This is how things work. Now, it was at this point where, of course, Andrade had some doubts about finishing this plan, even though she had already gotten paid for doing it. Now, she had asked him, hey, COVID-19 is a serious thing, coronavirus, and Fauci is fighting coronavirus. Why don't you take this seriously? Berkman, however, upon hearing that, seemed excited about the idea of a mass number of American deaths. Now, you might think that is hyperbole. There's no way he would seem excited about the death of thousands of Americans. Well, here's his quote. He told her, "Mother Nature has to clean the barn every so often. How real is it?" Referring to COVID-19. "Who knows? So what if 1% of the population goes? So what if you lose 400,000 people? 200,000 were elderly. The other 200,000 are at the bottom of society. You got to clean out the barn. If it's real, it's a positive thing, for God's sake." Now I have a question. What is it exactly that gets cleaned out of a barn? Well, I have an answer, of course, for that. Excrement. Horseshit, essentially, which is what this is. He says half the victims are elderly and the other half are at the bottom of society. So now the people that are most affected by COVID-19 are the elderly and people with compromised immune systems or other pre-existing conditions, especially if you have things like heart disease or asthma, other conditions that make it easier for there to be complications with this virus. So now, according to Berkman, you are an undesirable if you have one of those conditions. You're at the very bottom of society and deserve to die. Your life is equal to the excrement being shoveled out of the barn. There is no low That is too low for the right wing. Now, after she voiced her disgust over that horrible argument, she was asked this: "What could be wrong, Diana? You did a good job. You got paid. What's the problem? What seems to be the issue?" She got paid, and so she was expected to be absolutely okay with everything that he had said and done. I mean, you got your money. That's what this is always about. Money, and yes, power for me and my friend, who are desperately trying to get the attention of Daddy Trump. He also continues by asking, saying, "You're freaking out. You're texting me late at night. What's the issue?" What is the issue indeed? Look, she took the money, but then had second thoughts. What changed her mind is that she said that they had asked her to recruit another girl. Quote, "I ignored his inquiry about this, but it led me to feel like I needed to blow the whistle." After that call ended, of course, Andrade decided to send the recording that she had made the call to Reason. So she had had doubts before, recorded the call, and then decided to send it out after they had asked her to recruit another woman. Understand that this person is not a good person. There are no good people. There are no winners in this story. But you can definitely give her credit for exposing another plot by Wohl and Berkman, who have time and again tried to weaponize sexual assault allegations against their political enemies. In her emails with Reason, she wondered, "I don't know how they do all these things and why they do all these things. He tried to frame Mueller, and I'm like, how is he not in jail?" Well, that's a good question. For all the false allegations he has put out, it is quite a wonder. Perhaps it's because Berkman and Wohl are well regarded among the fringe right, so much so that they're able to continue to make a living off their grift while impressing people higher up. Andrade herself was romantically involved with Wohl due to what she called his charm. And she, of course, is another example, a good example, of the kind of people that fall for Wohl and Berkman's antics. Now, this is another example of the very low lengths that the right wing will go in order to chalk up a win for their side. It's not to be confused with the allegations against Tara Reade, however, which in many ways has been corroborated by those Reade had spoken to after her alleged sexual assault. I'm sure that liberals out there, some, will try to make an analogy, try to link these two things, but they're not at all linked at all. In this case, those who ignore this on the right and say that they profess to believe Tara Reade because of who she is accusing, Joe Biden, is as hypocritical as many in the Me Too movement when they also dismiss Reade's allegations while claiming that they believe women. Sexual assault is a very serious issue. It should not be weaponized. However, we know that there are people out there that are more than willing to do so. We can only be cautious, but also be open to believing women based on the merits of their cases and the corroborating evidence around it. Berkman and Wohl, for their part, are the two saddest examples of the desperation on the right wing to use Me Too as a weapon. And at some point, my hope that they finally get some sort of karma for doing so. We'll have to see. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.